Flo says, watch Mr. Wiedmer's history to learn about the Progressive Era. Hey, Mr. Wiedmer here. This is Unit 6, the Progressive Era. So, just like Flo says, watch Mr. Wiedmer's history and learn about the Progressive Era. Here we go. So, Progressive Era, 6.1 objective. You have to be able to describe the Progressive Era in American history and see how it changed the country. You see here, there's a little bit of tidbits on the pictures, something like Teddy Roosevelt, Whole House, Jane Addams, the jungle, women's rights, education, child labor, all this stuff's going to come to the forefront, and the progressivism here in America. Let me ask you, what in the world is progressivism? Alright, well, progressivism is how it sounds, it's progress. Okay, we're going to change, we're going to make things better in America. Now, according to Webster's dictionary, progressivism is a political and social term for ideologies and movements favoring or advocating change or reform. That's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, America is in a bad situation after the Gilded Age, and it needs to change. It needs to progress forward. Alright, and so to change that, we're going to have people do that, and it's called the Progressive Era. Progressivism. It took place, in the late 1800s and the first 15 years of the 20th century, up until World War I. Now, the progressive movement was fought against the evils of monopolies, corruption in business, inefficiency in business, and waste of business, and also social injustice that's been going on all over the place. Now, the purpose of the progressives was to use the government as an agency of human welfare. So the government's going to come in and help out the people, help out and make things better. Right? Because during the Gilded Age, during the latter part of the 1800s, the rich were getting richer and the poor were getting poorer. And so the gap became too wide to ignore, and so these people started thinking it's time for a change, to reform. These people are called the progressives or the reformers. We'll call them both as we go along here. So more and more people are concerned about society was moving. It says we're moving in the wrong direction. We need a change. And so wealthy industrialists seem to be beyond the power of the government, and they dominated government. Because remember, in the Gilded Age, business ran the government from the mayoral level, local government, all the way up to the presidency. Business ran the government and led to corruption. And so things are going to change. We need change. Okay, so more and more people are concerned. We need change in America. And many people have really, compared today in America to this time period. And people think we need a progressive president, a new progressive movement to change, because business has once again kind of taken over America with lobbyists and special interest groups and whatnot. And many people think we need a new progressive era. We need a new president like Teddy Roosevelt to come in, take charge, and help the country out. And so today and the progressive era, kind of very similar. So about 100 years later, same kind of stuff going on. History repeating itself. And, well, one way to help the country out, Eugene V. Debs, remember him, he talked about, he was the American Railroad guy who wanted to help out the railroad unions. Well, now he's going to be all about socialism. Or after the government throws him in jail, and he kind of, he doesn't take too kindly to the government anymore, so he's going to organize the American Socialist Party, and we have socialists in America. And then to help with his partner, Daniel De Leon, he started Industrial Workers of the World, aka the Wobblies. And these people were going to band together, bring socialism to the world, to America, and they figured socialism, government run, everything, socialism would be the way to go. Because private businesses, it's not going too well. It's corrupt and evil, and the government just needs to step in and take over and be a socialistic society, and that's the way things are going to be. So Eugene V. Debs, once again, socialism in America. Right? And then we have the opposite of socialism, where the people need to help each other out. And it's called the social gospel, where religious organizations such as the Salvation Army would work to improve society as well as meet spiritual needs. So not only preach the gospel, but also social justice as well, by helping out the poor, by being there and helping the homeless, helping the poor, giving them a place to rest and food to eat. We still do this today. We still practice social gospel today. And so women, they're going to be the driving force of this progressive era. Many people thought if women get the right to vote, the forces of change would be upon America, and they can get change happening because we have a whole group of new voters out there, and they tend to be very progressive and thinking, and the women could help progress the movement out. One of the best examples of this is Jane Addams set up the whole house in Chicago, the settlement house. The house that, if you're poor or homeless, have nowhere to go, when you're an orphan, you go there, and they'll help you out. Okay, the settlement house, whole house, Chicago, Jane Addams, very important. It's probably the most famous settlement house. She started the settlement house movement. Okay, no Jane Addams, whole house, Chicago, social gospel helping the poor out. Right? And a way of thought of this time was pragmatism. You gotta prove it to me. Okay, you have to prove it to me. Okay, all this, stuff going on must be tested to see if it works. Prove it to me. Show me. It's kind of like Missouri. Show me. You gotta show me. And so you gotta prove it to me. Very pragmatic way of thinking going on during the progressive era. Then we come to the muckrakers. The muckrakers, if you've ever read the Pilgrim's Progress book, that's where the term comes from. And President Roosevelt, he's going to call the writers who expose a variety of social problems, who always look at the bad and dark of society, muckrakers, after this book, Pilgrim's Progress. And because they were constantly looked at the filth and the dirty and downtrodden. And so most of these people were journalists. They wrote newspapers, wrote books, and they wrote about the terrible working conditions in America and just the dirty and griminess of the city. And some notable muckrakers. We had Upton Sinclair, who wrote The Jungle, about the meatpacking industry. Jacob Riis wrote How Do You Ever Half Lives. Ada Tarbell wrote, exposing Rockefeller's evil to Standard Oil. And then Helen Hunt Jackson wrote Century of Dishonor about mistreating Native Americans. So those are some notable muckrakers of American history. Alright, quick review, part 1 here. Social inequality, abuses by big business, and government corruption led to rampant in the late 1800s. Progressives looked to change this. Socialism was presented as a possible solution by Eugene V. Debs and De Leon. Social gospel movement took place, led by women. Salvation Army started. Settlement houses, Jane Addams' whole house in Chicago. Muckrakers, notable writers began writing about the down and out dredges of society, bringing problems to light. Alright, progressive reforms. Well, in 1900, we had this hurricane go through Galveston, Texas, devastated the city, obliterated the city, and it really exposed the ineptitude of the political machines that ran pretty much every city during this time period. And so things had to change, and so we're going to reform because of this natural disaster, this hurricane. And so we're going to start running cities like a business, and it's called the City Management Plan, where you're going to have city managers that run the city. You're going to run the city like a business, very efficient and creative and more power to the people. All right. And we come to the laboratory of democracy, Wisconsin. Or you could say every state is a laboratory of democracy. And so, but Wisconsin's really the first one. Under Governor Robert LaFalta, eventually he runs for president as well, became known as the laboratory of democracy. And because all the government reforms that took place in the state. What are some of these government reforms that took place in Wisconsin that still takes place today at a state level? Well, government reform progressive era, we have the direct primary, where instead of these guys sitting around a room saying, this guy and this guy, those are the two you're going to vote for, how about the people elect who we get a vote for? So the people elect the Democrat, people elect the Republican, and they go at it. So the two people that the people voted will be running for office. Direct primary. Okay, the initiative. Okay, citizens want to introduce legislation. Citizens want something done. They can introduce legislation and get a law passed. Okay, referendum. the legislators pass a law, then give it to the people, and the people sign a petition or whatnot and say, yeah, we support this, or it goes to a vote. Recall. If a person's not doing their job, get them out of there. Recall. We can revote, get them out of there, vote for someone else to cover the rest of the term of, the governor or the state representative or whatnot. But the most significant was the 17th Amendment, direct election of senators. Now, before the 17th Amendment, before 1913, all senators were elected by state representatives. And so these state representatives were oftentimes paid off. And so the senators became the millionaires club because only the rich got in, only the rich became, senators. And so these, rich white guys sitting around, controlling the country, not good. And so now we're going to have the 17th Amendment, 1913, the direct election of senators. We, the people of the United States, elect our representatives, elect our senators. And so things are changing. The people are getting more power. This is progressive movement, progressive era in United States history. Alright? And consumer protection is going to start this time. Before progressive era, buyer beware was the old adage. Beware of what you buy, because it might not always be what you think you're going to buy. So cities passed building codes, zoning laws, everything to protect the consumers. Okay, pure food and drug laws were being passed as well. 1906, Upton Sinclair wrote a book called The Jungle. This is about the horribly unsanitary conditions in the slaughterhouses. A little bit of socialism involved as well in his book. Upton Sinclair is an advocate of socialism. So it really showed, rat droppings on the meat and just awful, horrible conditions in these meat packing places. And this really opened up people's eyes and said, oh my gosh, this is terrible. These people are actually doing this stuff to us. We're buying this stuff. We need to change. We need to change. What we're going to do, Roosevelt's going to come along and create the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Right. And it's regulated content expected for food and banned use of addictive drugs and non-prescription medicines, such as, cocaine was very big this time period. Like in Coca-Cola, the soft drink, that's why it's called Coca-Cola, because it had cocaine in it. And pretty much everything you bought had cocaine in it. Just like everything you buy has caffeine in it today, cocaine was the caffeine of the early 1900s. And so the FDA is going to ban that because it's very addictive and not good for people to consume any amounts of cocaine, and so the FDA is going to come along and stop that. Also, workers' compensation laws help workers out. To get injured on the job, you get paid instead of just getting kicked to the curb. Right? Progressives wanted business to be regulated as well because business ran government and businesses were corrupt. Hence, therefore, the government was corrupt. And this needs to end. It needs to change. And so Roosevelt's really going to come along and help people out. And the big thing, the mattress tag, that was started during this time period because people put anything and everything in a mattress and call it, this is a great mattress. It's, full of straw, full of cotton or whatnot. And you'd take it home and it'd be, hard as a rock and could be full of rocks as well. And you just never know what it is. So they put the tags on a mattress so you know what you're buying. And the mattress cannot be taken off by the person who sells it, but the consumer, once you buy it, you can take it off. So that's the whole, don't tear off the mattress tag kind of thing. That got started in this time period with the FDA. Alright, lesson review, quickly. Social inequality abuses by big government, big business and government, big business controlled government. Corruption were rampant in the 1800s. Progressives looked to change this. Socialism presented as an option. Social gospel movement, settlement houses, Jane Addams' Whole House. Salvation Army began to help the poor. The muckrakers, coined by Roosevelt. Noble writers began to write about the down and out judges of society, bringing the problems of America to light. The United States began the laboratory of democracy. Many government formed direct primary initiative, referendum recall. The greatest is the 17th Amendment. Direct elected senators. Upton Sinclair with the jungle exposed the meatpacking industry. Roosevelt created FDA to protect consumers, to help everybody out. Alright, that's the end of part 1 of Progressive Era. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Progressive Era. Until next time, Mr. Wiedemer here, study history.